is a painfully difficult thing to do as supposedly a something fun. I started and I lost my momentum and I had to stop. I have to pick up the momentum again. I said just a second ago to myself about how I was already sat staring at the phone for 2 minutes, maybe not 2 minutes, a minute before I started. These are all the books that I stole. I stole them all from the library. No, these are from Wye and Malvern. This one is from the washing room of the caravan park that we were staying in, and I didn't put anything back on the shelf to replace it. It was just a big thing of books there, and I took this one just because I just had to. I had to take it. It's incredible, and I'm gonna read it. I think I'm excited to read it. Although I opened it up, it's horrifying ordeal of urban savagery. It's just about werewolves. But I opened up and it was immediately went into some sort of sexual scene that I had to close it because it would spoil it for me for when I do read it. But just that's incredible. You have to have that, the howling. And then these are books. I got these two from a charity shop, Theodore Sturgeon, which I haven't read any of him, but I think this is a good place to start. It reminds me of a couple other things. There's something like concerning about things written about, I don't know, what's the word, marginalised people. Like it's yeah, I mean, it's going to be slightly dated, as a lot of old science fiction is going to be, but also maybe it's not dated, maybe it was progressive at the time. Yeah, just like kids with learning disabilities. It's not what it says on the back of here. But it sounds interesting, it sounds weird. It's like a little group of misfits, I think, essentially. But it says a story of love, learning and compassion. But it's science fiction, so there's going to be something else involved, I think, hopefully. Well, not hopefully. Could be nice anyway. More Than Human. It's got like a weird bumpy cover. And then I got this P.D. James. I don't know why. I think she's kind of like a horror thriller writer. I had the strange sensation that I'd seen this before. I'd seen a book cover that was similar, or like I read something when I was younger that it reminded me of, and I had to pick that up. I read it for £1, and then we went to the Amnesty International bookshop. I got this Jizzle, John Wyndham. I've seen it before, and I've seen this cover, which I love, and I read Data Triffids. I grabbed recently when I saw it. Oh, I'm yawning. Oh, I'm tired. What was the other one? I can't remember. Chrysalids. So I'll read one of these two next, because I like Data Triffids. That was years ago that I read that. But Jizzle had to be done. Then I got this Samuel Delany, Fall of the Towers. And I already have 2 of these. Like, because it's 3 books that were put together. I already have 2 of them. But one was missing. They're here, but I want to read that. But I think I'll read Dahlgren before I read that. Ray Bradbury, Illustrated Man. These are just wicked. Awesome. And I'd like to read another Ray Bradbury. And I found this, which I've seen online, and I had to get it because it just looks good. And I think it is good. I think people said it is good. It's like a post-apocalyptic thing. And obviously what's funny is it just Tolkien called out. And then I also got in there, which is exciting, the whole Chronicles of Amber, Roger Zelazny, that I want to read. Right, so it's my ambition to be able to just hit that button and talk candidly and happily with total relaxation about little books and just enjoy talking about my little books. But God, what happened to me there? Like, I had to cut it and edit it and slice this in the middle because that's just brilliant and bizarre and painful to watch, but also not as painful to experience. But I paused the video and then started re-recording again, and what I've done is I've cut away the start of that next bit of recording because it is also extremely awkward and strange, but I'm going to leave in a bit where my brain and my ability to speak completely trails off because I suddenly felt just extremely self-conscious and uncomfortable. And I'm going to splice this in the middle. I was holding this book and I was going to say, oh God, how excited I am to read The Chronicles of Amber, which is a big series of five books, I think. Gotta be 5. Could be 6. Come on, gotta be 5. 5. And it sounds good, like a massive fantasy book. I've read a bunch of Zelazny short stories, and some of those are like fantasy, like most of them are science fiction, but I think he's great, and hopefully this will be like good for me. All right, I'm gonna cut it out there and return to where I was however many minutes earlier, 10 minutes earlier. That's all the stuff I got in the Amnesty International shop, and then went to Hay on Wye again, obviously, and that was a lot more fruitful, even though I got loads of books there, like a huge pile of books where I can't buy any more books for ages. Loads of these I want to read like now, but I'm going to read the 20 books I've separated before I started these. But one of the first ones I'll read when I start some of these is going to be this, Specimens. Cover on my face. What am I doing? Doesn't matter. Who cares? I just saw this before and it just looked amazing, and I saw this cover and then I found it with this cover, which is just excellent. You just can't not pick that up and want to read it. So I think it's like a sci-fi horror combination, and I want to read more horror books because it's just not something I've read that much of, but I think I would enjoy it. Less serious and more enjoyable. Sorry. Then I got Spider Robinson, Telepath. I only vaguely know of this guy, but I read this blurb and I was like, I've got to pick up this one. The Muskies, spawned in Earth's long childhood of fire and stone, they flourish in the stinking hell man calls civilization. They ride the wind, gaseous beings, perceptible to man only now that a monstrous experiment has heightened his sense of smell and destroyed civilization in the progress. So they're fart monsters. Their smells. I don't know. It sounds ridiculous. I think this is like one of the other books of his that I heard someone talking about, I think it sounds like they're slightly comic, just ridiculous things, but that looks good. CJ Cherry. Some of the books I've heard about of hers, I think it's a lady, just, yeah, they sound like something I want to read. And this looks, look at that. And this is about kind of jungle planet with mysterious creature. I don't know. Sounds cool. Looks cool. Looks kind of like a movie, like a Anaconda or something. I'm hoping there's an element of that in there. I don't think it'll be silly like that, but yeah, that one. Then I found Heliconia Spring, Brian Aldiss' big sort of sci fantasy. This is a big book, and then there's two more. I think it's like a very large thing, which I'll try at some point. And I just got this one just because I've heard of Keith Laumer. I've not read anything, and this cover is just nuts. What a silly little painting. Very 70s. Some sort of memory loss, alien spaceship. So many things that you want to read, you want to know about. Swiftly on. Let's carry on. Another shop. I got a few books from another shop. There was so many books in this shop, and pretty much all of them I just never heard of the author or the book, and they were totally bizarre looking. There's an awful lot out there, but Lee Brackett I've heard of, and this is not one of the books I've heard of, if I could even remember what they were called if I saw them. But this looks like a fantasy, but it's a science fiction, supposedly. Sci-fantasy. A man slaying a big wolf. The Ginger Star. It sounds good. The North Hounds of World Heart. The King Dog. A man fighting a big dog. Couldn't be simpler. Got a couple of short story collections that looked good, that had some good authors in. Authors I haven't read. A. Merritt. Lord Dunsany. That's one of the reasons I picked up this. The old school guy. And this, again, I've heard of Brian Stapleford, not got any or read any. So I want to put that on the list. Just like loads of authors I want to try, that I'll like sequentially pick one of these random books out by them and cross them off the list. Volume 1 of The Realms of Tartarus. So it's about the future Earth, like it used to be Earth, now it's not. And look at some of them, look at this little goblin man. Just looks incredible. Looks amazing. Then in a charity shop there, picked up a few books. Robert Silverberg, Stochastic Man. Don't know what it is to be stochastic. I don't know what that means. Man doesn't choose his life chooses him. Stochastic Prediction, High-Powered Guesswork. It sounds cool. It sounds very cool. A sophisticated form of witchcraft. So he's like an oracle. Sci-fi oracle. Herman Hesse, Narcissus and Goldmund. Well, I read Siddhartha. That's Herman Hesse. I thought I'd get that wrong then. And I loved it. But I kind of would enjoy it anyway, I think, even if it wasn't that good. But I thought it was, like, I liked the way it was written. And supposedly it's a classic. Say the Penguins. Then I got a Kathleen Jamie. I've read one of her books before. I've got another one in a stack to read. So this is like short pieces of writing about nature. Lovely. Picked it up. Then I got another big Noam Chomsky, not that big, thin one, Rogue States. We'll see how desperate I am to pick this up after reading this massive book of Chomsky that I've got to read next. It's similar, I'm imagining. It's about force and power. Someone studied this. They got loads of little, a brainy person. I'll just go over their notes afterwards. And to GCSE. Probably not GCSE. And then I picked up this, which I thought was really cool. That I have no idea about. But this is like giving me a good vibe. This is giving me a good vibe. Well, the ecology of commerce. So I like books with ideas about ecology. A declaration of sustainability. But okay, author of Growing a Business and the Next Economy. So it's about economy, it's about business, but a different way of looking at it. There's a cornucopia. This book might be a cornucopia. It might be boring and dull, but I think it's going to be relevant to me. And maybe I'll find a way to say more about it after I read it in 2 years' time. Maybe I'll read it. Yeah. Looks super good. Is that everything? That's so many books. No, there's 3 more that I bought for £1 in a charity shop in another town. And it's Jean M. Aule. Don't know how to say her name. Jean M. Aule. That's probably wrong. But I read The Clan of the Cave Bear. This is the next one. Then this is the next one. A mammoth series. And then this is the 5th one, so there's one missing. But like, I have them now. Can't say no for £1. I'll jump into the next one at some point. Fairly soon, I'd like to think. Because the first one I really liked. And I think it's just really cool how she started writing them at a time that what was known about, ancient humans, Neanderthals and ancient Homo sapiens was not a lot. And that field of archaeology, paleontology, archaeology, was pretty new and like underdeveloped. So her sort of fiction is important for a lot of people in creating an understanding of what people were like, because you should imagine what they might have been like. And I just, I find it super interesting. Why not believe that a piece of essentially fantasy could be real? And when you're writing a story about like Neanderthals, there's so much we don't understand about them that we might as well believe this is what it was like. Even though that's like a bit naive, I think, and stupid to hope. But when we're writing science fiction about the future, why not think it's possible and true? Probably one of the reasons that people enjoy it. If it has something hopeful about it, but a lot of times stories are boring if they're just overly nice and hopeful. Golden age science fiction, I think that's why you call it that, because it's hopeful. The future is going to be good. And then there's plenty of science fiction books that the future is not good and it's horrible. But good as a book for now. So that's like, oh my god, 20 something, 30 books. So much to read. They'll be ordered, I think like, weirdly, you know, there's loads that I want to read. Weirdly, I kind of want to read this as soon as possible. Something about those eyes in the jungle. I wanna know. Anyway, that's another long, rambling, awkward recording of myself. It's going to be very mumbled.